Welcome to the training on programming RTIPanel Multi-Location. Programming the multi-location feature for RTIPanel requires a series of steps. This training will cover all the steps needed to successfully implement this feature within your projects. In this session, we will discuss the following topics: preparation and project file setup, programming, discovery and use. First, always check to make sure you have the latest Integration Designer programming software on your computer. RTIPanel Multi-Location is only available on version 11.3 and higher. Additionally, always check firmware on the processor to be used and update if necessary. Make sure you have a 64-bit PC running Windows 10 or higher as its native operating system. Finally, make sure you have the latest version of RTIPanel app. You can check this by going to either the App Store on iOS devices or the Google Play Store and searching for RTIPanel. If an update is needed, it will be indicated as such. Next, we need to make sure the project files we have access to are both set up with the proper configuration. For each file, you'll want to open the System Properties under File. Click on the RTIPanel Virtual Panel tab and make note of the static IP or dynamic DNS that is set up for the accounts. You will need this information when setting up the RTIPanel device app for off-site location access. The final step is to name the system. We will click on the Processor, then Settings under the Connected Features tab. At the top of the window, you will see the system name. Right now it states the processor name, but it is highly recommended that you change this to the client's name and/or location name. This will make it much easier to identify the system in not only RTIPanel Multi-Location selection, but also for the free RTIQ remote monitoring service and RTI authorization. There is an additional training on RTI Excel for RTIQ and RTI authorization. We will change the name of this file to Hetfield Main Home. We're now moving on to the programming of the new RTIPanel multi-location commands in Integration Designer. There are several ways to get the commands in place. For example, we will select the home page on our RTIPanel iPad device and remove the visibility from the source and power menus. Then we'll unlock the room menu. These menus were set up in button menu template, and thus we can adjust each one individually. Let's zoom in a bit for better viewing using the new Control plus Mouse wheel feature in Integration Designer. Next, we will click on one of the rooms that isn't being used. In this case, the utility room. We will change the name of the tag to Manage Locations, and then right-click and edit the text and change it to Manage All Locations, and press OK. I'll now do the same for the last two buttons, changing the tag and text on WC to Select Locations Menu, and Master Bathroom to switch to Beach House. Now we will click on the Objects tab and select RTIPanel Commands from the drop-down menu. Let's go over what each one of these commands is and what it does. Return to Welcome screen. This command will have the RTIPanel return to the main location selection screen where the client can choose whichever system they want to operate. They can also change the names of the locations, enable the auto selection of the last system used, and have the option to add or delete location systems if needed. We will show you how to do this in the Discover and Use section of our training. We will drag the command to the Manage All Locations button and drop it on. This will be indicated by the little blue box with the white letter C inside of it. Switch system is a very cool feature, which when selected by the client will bring up a pop-up list of the systems that can be chosen by the client on the fly. Any system that is in blue is eligible to be selected. This list is dependent on the discovery of all the systems eligible, and the name is based on what is titled in the main welcome selection screen. We will also drag and drop this command onto the Select Locations menu button. Finally, the Switch to Specific System command. This is an index-based selection command object, which means that each separate system that has been discovered by RTIPanel is assigned an index number, and we can direct the command to switch over to that specific system based on its index number. The systems listed in the welcome selection screen are each assigned an index number beginning with 0 for the top, and then 1, 2, and so on. For example, Hetfield Main Home could be index number 0. Hetfield Beach House would then be 1, and so on and so forth. For this command in Integration Designer, we will place the index number of the system we want to select in the area below the commands. Then drag the command to the specific button. For our example, we will use 1 as the index number, and then drag the command to Switch to Beach House. Here's a pro tip. To minimize the potential user error issues, we recommend providing the client either the Switch System pop-up selection or the Switch to Specific System index selection over the Return to Welcome screen option. The Welcome screen, as mentioned before, offers additional adjustment capabilities, including the ability to add and remove systems. If the client is not aware of how to do this correctly, it may cause issues. Since Integration Designer is a fully customizable interface, we have added some new icons to represent the new System Switch feature. We will click on the Bitmaps tab and then select Coral Icons from the drop-down. Then we will type in the word Switch in the search area. You will see 4 new icons: Switch Conference Rooms, Switch Homes, Switch Locations, and Switch Processors. We can simply click and drag these or any other we decide to represent these buttons and what it does. Additionally, these commands are not limited to the room button list as we've shown you here. You have the option to create a dedicated page to do these location selections. You can create an activity and embed them in a source list, or create a new pop-up layer that is visible when needed. The options are endless and yours to design. Remember that you'll want to create these command options in all systems for the RTIPanel devices and on whatever page or layer you deem appropriate. Now that we have made note of the systems, their static IP or dynamic DNS addresses, created the user interfaces that the client will use to issue the object commands, and sent the file to the processor, we will move on to the configuration, discovery, and use of the feature. When we open the RTIPanel app for the first time, we are brought to the welcome screen. If not, make sure you have the updated RTIPanel app. If you already have the app downloaded and running, make sure to reconfigure the app on iOS devices or clear the app data from the Android devices. This can be found in the settings for the app on each device. Once the app is open, you'll see a great sales tool, the Demo Mode option. This allows you to show how RTIPanel interface works without needing a system. Let's exit out of the demo mode and get back to the main welcome screen. You will first notice the central area stating Add New System. We will select this option and will be brought to the processor selection screen. Your local network processor should be listed here. We select it and then choose the file associated with this device. The RTIPanel app will then download the configuration file and go back to the main system selection screen. To add another system, select the Settings icon and then the Edit button. Press the plus button to launch the network configuration process. If you are in the same network as the system and processor, it will show up on the top line titled Local Network, same as the one we did before. If the RTI panel that is going to be set up is outside of the network we are currently in, we will need to reference the static IP or the dynamic DNS information we noted before. We will touch the plus sign and then the plus sign next to Connect to Server. This will open the location where we will type in the server address of the second system. This is either the static IP or the dynamic DNS address. Once we press OK, it will be placed into the manually configured area. We then can select it, and once it connects, it will offer us the ability to select the system file right for the device. The window will then go back to the main welcome screen, and you can then select which system to initially open. When we open the Hetfield Main Home, you'll see our options under the room selection to manage all locations, select Locations menu, and switch to Beach House. If I touch on Select Locations menu, you'll see both configurations available. If I touch on Switch to Beach House, it will immediately switch over. Finally, RTIPanel Multi-Location offers the ability to have full project maintenance control from the main welcome screen. This includes being able to add and delete configurations, rename configurations, and toggle on and off the automatic last system select. Rename configuration allows you or your client to change the name of the projects to something the client can easily identify. This is done by selecting the name of the area, which will then launch a keyboard allowing you to change that name. The Auto Select Last System toggle will automatically open the RTIPanel app to the last system used by the client if the app has been closed. Again, we do recommend installers manage the maintenance screen to avoid the client accidentally renaming or deleting site locations. Train your clients accordingly and take the management out of their hands. In summary, Integration Designer 11.3 features multiple location management for clients using RTIPanel controllers with multiple homes or businesses. End users can easily switch between locations using pre-configured object commands available in Integration Designer 11.3 or higher software. The new interface allows installers to add, remove, and edit the name of multiple locations. The selection commands are found in the Objects tab under RTIPanel Commands, and the new images representing those features are in the Bitmaps tab under Coral Icons, starting with the word Switch. We know this new feature will enhance the experience for all of your commercial and residential customers. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to your RTI sales engineer or sales manager in your region. Thanks for watching.